Why is no one talking about Harbin? Like, no one I talked to had ever heard of this city before, and I get there, and it has a population bigger than New York City's, and it was, like, developed by the Soviets in the 1920s because China was such a mess, and the architecture makes it look like Soviet China, and it's so brutally cold that the people are out shopping in the night markets, like, living it up at night in 0-degree weather. When I got off the plane, the cold air was a huge slap in the face, like, it was almost hard to breathe. Then when we got to the city and we're walking around, people were just lighting giant fires in the streets, and I had no idea why.
What are we burning in Harbin? Everyone's just lighting fires for fun on the street.
And every winter they do this thing called Harbin Snow and Ice World, where they build an entire theme park out of ice. Like, it's so big that it would take 2 or 3 days to see everything. You can take their state-of-the-art metros to this island in the middle of this giant river that divides the city, and that's where they build it every year. But I'm a little bit crazy and I wanted an experience, so I walked across this giant bridge over a frozen river to get there, and it was so brutally cold, but I felt very alive. And when I got there, I was the only foreigner I saw in this huge sea of people. Like, honestly, I cannot even guess how many thousands of people were there. They really had everything there. Giant ice slides, giant Ferris wheels. They built a hot pot restaurant out of ice. They had real buildings for this theater that had really cool shows, and this giant mall, which I kept going back to warm up because it was so brutally cold. There were just so many rides and performances to see that, like, I could not choose what to do, and I just kept wandering and getting lost, and ended up at this giant ice rave. Like, they had people jumping up and down, I think to stay warm mostly, but like just this huge sea of people at this EDM rave. And then at the end, everyone was singing along to these really heartfelt Chinese songs. I honestly cannot describe how mind-blowing all of this was to see and experience in person. After freezing outside all day and all night, we went to this amazing Harbin hot pot and grill restaurant. Harbin knows how to grill, okay? We had more food than we could eat and plenty of beer because they have really good beer in Harbin, and I think it was like $11 for 2 people. Yeah, everything had so much flavor. I loved the grilled mushrooms and these different styles of tofu. But also we asked our server for specialty recommendations and got all these different parts of the lamb and pig and chicken that I had never tried before. And it was really delicious. A bit out of my comfort zone to be eating chicken hearts and like lamb stomach, I think, or lamb lung. Something. I ate a lung. I don't remember whose it was though. And the thing that got us through our trip was the 24-hour spa. After being out in the frigid cold all day and all night and exploring the city, it was essential for us to spend the entire day just relaxing, warming up our bodies. The spa itself only cost like $20, I think. And you get unlimited fresh cut fruit, and it is so good and refreshing. Like, it just reset my whole body. And then I unreset it by eating a bunch of curry. Everything was so futuristic and relaxing and comfortable and clean. Like, Harbin, man. I was only in Harbin for a few days because I didn't know how much there really was to do there, and my biggest regret was not going to the Unit 731 Memorial Museum, because I've studied a lot of Chinese World War II history, but we just don't see the full story as Americans. Unit 731 was the name of this covert facility where the Japanese conducted horrifying experiments on innocent Chinese people. What the Japanese did to the Chinese is some of the most disturbing and grim World War II history. And sadly, it often gets overlooked in the West. So I definitely recommend going to that museum, especially if you're a foreigner, because it's one of the small ways that we can bridge our gap of understanding and honor the victims of those atrocities. Being in Harbin, you really felt this clash of history and cultures and hardships and sacrifice. And it's incredible how far they've come today. When we left Harbin for Beijing, we got to see their incredible train station. It was so state-of-the-art and futuristic, but we chose not to take the high-speed rail. Instead, we booked a cabin on the overnight sleeper train, which saved us money on the train ticket and a hotel, but it also gave us a unique experience. It was about a 12-hour journey. I wanted to take at least one normal speed train ride through China to see what it had been like for decades before their modernization. It was a way for me to slow down and feel more of a connection to the history of China. The room and the bed itself were honestly so comfortable, I fell asleep way sooner than I planned on. I was reading this book I really enjoyed called Salesman in Beijing by Arthur Miller. It helped me connect with the history of China and also the city that we were going to next. It was a great experience. I definitely recommend taking the sleeper train on your trip to China. Just don't feel too shy if you have to share your cabin with strangers.
The refrigerators in Harbin are not even cold inside. They're like keeping it warm almost.